1 to 3 years. Okay. 3 to 5. All right. More than 5. Okay. Cool. What about if you've been in red less than 6 months? Awesome. Congratulations. How about less than 2 years? Okay. More than 2 years. How many of you have been in red, out of red, in red, out of red? No? Okay, that's all right. I was single and married, not married. Okay, so let's take a minute and get really real for just a few minutes, okay? Just nod, and you don't even have to answer it out loud if you don't want to. But does your life currently, today, in this very moment, align with the vision that you once held for your life? If you say yes, you're probably lying. Right? No, right? Is your reality right now, are your relationships right now, your career, your personal relationships, your coworkers, are they everything you imagined? No. Do you still have those disappointments that are lingering? And maybe those shadows that are casting over top of your visions, sometimes that are bigger than your visions? I am so excited to talk to you about disappointment today. You guys have, seriously, disappointment. Disappointment. When Brittany asked us to speak today, she actually said you can speak on whatever topic you want. She has no idea, because I haven't even talked about it, that I was praying for the opportunity to talk to someone this weekend about disappointment. Isn't that crazy? So, like, has anybody ever said, yeah, I want to wake up and teach on disappointment? Seriously, like, God, what are you thinking? Let me ask this. Have you ever, my sister just did this thing to me like I'm crazy. Have you ever started on a journey with passion? Like at night, you end a Tuesday night meeting and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go earn my car tomorrow and I'm going to paint the world pink tomorrow. And then the next day you have like all this disillusion and it's gone. Right? In my unit, we're like, the dog puked, the car has a flat tire and whatever. Right? It's common. Let's take a second to acknowledge this together. We all go to bed with a massive plan. And we wake up the next day, and then happens. Whatever your then is for that moment. But I want you guys to understand that this is part of the human experience. There's so many times that we find ourselves when we get caught up in a cycle. There are 3 things that will destroy any dream, any relationship, anything you have. 3 things. Competition, comparison, and jealousy. You can go home. That's all you need to know. That right there enough.
Could you repeat?
Competition, comparison, and jealousy. Because we get caught up in doing that with those around us, even when they're unaware of it. These feelings, you guys, they can paralyze us. They can stall us in our progress. And if we leave them unchecked, they will damage and destroy our relationships and our business. Have you ever created an imaginary competition with somebody that they had no idea they were in competition with you about? Yeah? And you spend all these hours convincing yourself that you have to outdo them, and they have no idea that they're supposed to be outdoing you back, right? And what happens then? We start to resent that person. And our light that we were shedding in the presence of that person gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And then it spreads to less light that we shine to other people. Comparison. This is a trap we fall into. You can compare yourselves to someone who you think is superior to you. This is called an upward comparison. To Lindsay. Lindsay and I ended up on target for our first car at the same time. I am not in a car right now. Let's talk about comparison. Right? You can have inferior comparison, where you compare yourself to someone who doesn't have the skills that you have. And you have proxy comparison, which is similar comparison. So you might be comparing your achievements, you might be comparing your teams, your customer bases, whatever. That comparison over time starts to erode your commitment, and then it creates doubt in your own self-worth. 100%. And then there's jealousy. This might be jealousy of someone achieving a milestone, before us or venturing into a new endeavor ahead of us. And this is bitterness. Have you ever had a circumstance or a situation when it happens instantly, you are fired up? Like you're ready to come at somebody? You're not going to need a weapon because you're going to kill them yourself. Right? You're angry. You're going to be frustrated. I mean, whatever it is. You're hyper. And then when the dust settles, it's probably not as big of a deal as you thought. Right? There's a whole psychology lesson that I'm not going to go into today because I don't understand it. But it's basically saying, here's your brainstem and here's your brain and you're fired in all these ways. And when you breathe, you calm your stem. My psychologist would be super proud of me for remembering that. Calm your stem. And we say that to each other. One of my girlfriends couldn't come here today, last minute. And she's texting me, I'm trying to calm my stem, Debbie. I'm trying to calm my stem. I'm trying to breathe. So when we press pause and we concentrate on our breathing, it helps us to focus and reset. The next thing that we're going to do on our journey of healing together is to grieve. We need to grieve the fact that that dream we thought was going to happen by the time we were 20 hasn't happened by the time we're 40. And it's okay. We're just grieving that it didn't take place in that time frame, or that situation may not ever take place. Right? And in order to do this, this is when we have to stand strong on our faith. Sometimes it means claiming it out loud, because we know that all things happen in God's perfect time. Let's talk about falling out of car production. I've been on cars since 2011. 11. And now I'm not. It's the first time I've ever said it publicly. And I'm going to keep going because I'm not going to start crying. But that comparison game gets strong. Really strong. And I was stuck. Breathing sometimes helped. Didn't always. Because I took time to grieve. And that took time. Because I gained a fresh perspective. See, my comparison, competition, and jealousy told me I sucked as a leader. Because I couldn't lead my unit into the next car production. We've driven an Equinox. Our first car was the Malibu. And we ran it for 3 months. And then we moved to Equinox. And we've been in Equinoxes ever since. And now we're not in anything. So that comparison, competition, jealousy got loud. Right? Mm-hmm. And I thought, like, what's all the things? What's God trying to tell me? I should quit my business. I suck at a leader. Da, 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 da. Well, let me tell you, grieving that and breathing that. As a single mom, I was able to purchase my Mary Kay car, my Mary Kay income. I have 2 other businesses. One I don't take a profit from. I use it as a ministry. It's not a nonprofit. I use it as a ministry. The other one is a startup business. We know those don't make money. It's not a direct sales. It's like a start-up from nothing business. You don't make money for a long time in those. Mm-hmm. So this income provided me the opportunity to purchase that car. We are now in car qualification. Again, because we get a fresh start in Mary Kay. Yeah. And since I own this car, and we're going to earn a car, my 22-year-old son is going to be able to buy this car when he enters optometry school next year. And on Monday, I get to take my 15-and-a-half-year-old daughter to get her permit. Pray for me. But she can drive using my car. If it was a Mary Kay car, you guys, she can't drive it because you have to be 18. So this huge setback was God saying, oh, honey, it's my perfect timing, not yours. Yes. Right? It's God's perspective. And then you can grieve through that disappointment because it takes a huge step of confidence to start over. Right? So with grief comes growth. I'm running out of time already. Each setback, you guys, if you view it through a lens of faith, becomes a stepping stone to greater heights. And these are the moments where you're going to find your true strength. Extreme growth. Right? Has anybody ever heard the rainbow story? We've all heard Brittany's rainbow story, right? Mm-hmm. Did it make an impact on you? Mm-hmm. Brittany's rainbow story? When she's rocking. Okay, so your homework is to find another red jacket who's nodding their head and find out the rainbow story. Okay? These are the moments when we see disappointments and God's glasses shows us perspective. We put on His goggles and His glasses. This is when we have growth. As business leaders, this gives us the greatest platform. It's people aren't going to be as excited if I say, I have 27 cars in Mary Kay. Let me tell you about when I didn't have a car. That's the platform where they're going to listen from. Right? And it takes a big step. So whether you've been in Mary Kay for a minute or 10 years, red jacket once or 10 times, there is a reason. And I want to tell you something. I'm going to go off script because I got to go real fast. A week and a half ago, I was on a walk at a state park. Brandywine Falls. Anybody know where that's at? Okay, well, anyways, doesn't matter. Found a waterfall. Here is the waterfall. Okay? As I looked at it, I was frozen in my tracks, and I am not a deep thinker when it comes to this stuff, you guys. I'm not a deep thinker. But I'm sitting here, and I'm looking. Do you see how the water's cascading here? Because every time it's cascading, it's hitting a little rock, and another little rock, and another little rock. And I sat there, and I'm like, why would God put these hundreds of thousands of little places? I mean, if God knows the number of hairs on my head, all of those rocks are here for a reason. Why not just put one rock and let the water flow over and be done? What's the point? And I stood there, frozen so long. The person I was hiking with said, what are you thinking? Like, you've been here for a long time. So we walked on up this path to the top of the waterfall. You can't even see this, but this is the top. If you look right here, that looks like a puddle. That spot right there and this little spot right here is what forms this waterfall. These two tiny puddles or streams have to go over the edge to hit the rock, to spread, to hit the next rock, to spread, to hit the next rock, to spread. Because it's those little moments where we have the growth and the confidence to go on. Okay, so my last couple of minutes, I was telling this story. One of my other businesses, I was on call, long story. But this lady was telling me she's an adoptive mom. She started in foster care. And she was telling me her journey from being a foster mom to adopted mom. And how the conversations she'd had with foster moms and having, being led to these kids and whatever. And I had these pictures printed out. And I've had this speech that I've written 4 times. And I've never written a speech that many times. Ever. And I still knew that God wasn't ready for this speech yet. So I grabbed this. And I'm telling Katie about this. I said, Katie, I have no idea why I'm telling you this story. I said, I'm Mary Kay sales director, and we have a conference this weekend, and this is what I'm teaching. I don't know why I'm telling you this. You guys, my other business is with the government and fitness. This doesn't fit into it. Mary Kay doesn't ever come up into it. Katie stopped me, and she goes, how long have you been in Mary Kay? I said, since 2005. Okay. I'm like, is this girl going to buy product off me? She lives in Dallas. She goes, do you know Jennifer Cook? Who's Jennifer Cook?
Mary Kay's sister.
I met Katie, her daughter-in-law. Her daughter-in-law. She has one daughter-in-law who God put on a phone call with me. This is, what day is today? Saturday? This was Wednesday. And she said to me, she went into this whole conversation about Jennifer and being Mary Kay's assistant. And Jennifer flies all over the world still in her retirement, talking to Salesforce directors and consultants. And she said, I don't even have to ask her, but you tell me when, and she'd love to talk to you and your unit. Is it okay if I give her your phone number? She asked me this question. I'm coming to talk to you about disappointment and what God's trying to teach you in disappointment. And he says, oh, honey, the waterfall is coming. 44 minutes after I hung up the phone, Katie texted me, or emailed me. And she said, I've already talked to Jennifer about you. And she can't wait to meet you. She said, I'm spending this weekend with her at the lake house. And I'll be in touch with you next week. So ladies, when you want to hide your head and you don't want to tell anybody about that failure, you don't want to tell anybody you're not in a car, that thing, that's when we celebrate. I get to do it again. I get to do it again. I get to do it again. Right? wrapping the story up in a nice little bow before Brittany gets in here. This whole thing, my other business, is fitness, and we're working with foster kids, and we're working with kids who are on probation and kids incarceration. Katie runs a nonprofit organization that pays for gym memberships for kids who are in foster care. What day did I tell you I talked to her? Tuesday. I have a nephew in foster care. He is my nephew because he is in foster care, who was put on probation. What does Katie's nonprofit do? Pay for gym memberships for kids in foster care. That wasn't why I had the call with her. She had asked the week before to have the call with me to find out what I do. Do you see how God says, oh, I'm waiting. You can't even imagine what I have to come. But you have to get up. And you have to call those people again. And you have to lead again when you think you can't do it. There's my surprise. So my unit, they were given the task. They had to know who Jennifer Cook was before they walked in here today because I wasn't telling them. And my sister, my brains behind my business, is an incredible foster mom to Benson. And she had no idea until just now.